Hello and welcome to the latest in the Tijari Pakistan Industry Briefing. My name is Usama Shahid and today I will talk you through managing supplier risk in your organization. The agenda for the next 15 minutes or so is as follows. We will first do a short recap of the previous webinars, followed by an attempt to define risk. Later we will look at how you can identify, manage and mitigate your risks, and then we will leave you with a few takeaways. So to recap, this is the fourth briefing in the series. Previously we covered discovering opportunities through spend analysis by Maida Belwade, then Henry Shepard and Marwa Abu Rahim talked through managing your supplier community. My colleagues Sajjad Mahmood and Junaid Khan discussed the different ways in which you can maximize supplier value. Managing supplier risk is not a new concept, but due to the recent times of global recession, the need for proactive supplier risk management is ever present. In today's world, companies have to identify new ways to assess their risks and implement mitigation strategies while suppliers struggle to stay solvent. While we may have overcome the worst, in these challenging times, managing supplier risk will remain high on every procurement professional list, and companies will need to continually manage that process. According to research, large companies will typically encounter significant supply chain issues every 4 to 5 years. The most common risk factors include financial risk, which could compromise a supplier's solvency, operational risk, that could impact on pricing, logistics or quality, market risk, related to changes in commodity pricing or different regulatory and geopolitical factors. Reputational risk, which would damage a company's brand, jurisdictional risk, pertaining to foreign suppliers, and any major disruptive events like natural disasters and catastrophes. Of course, different companies and their unique supply bases will be subject to different degrees and type of risk. Depending on how many suppliers are available in a category, the supplier's geographical location, how customized the supplier's goods are, and the way the company's brand itself and approaches the market among manufacturers. For example, a facilities management provider is going to be exposed to substantial level of risk if they lack comprehensive information on their suppliers, putting them at operational and reputational risk. In order to achieve the best result, it is important to separate risk and allocate them to those departments which can manage them effectively. Supplier risk management can be developed in 3 phases: identify, manage, and mitigate. The first key area we are going to consider is risk identification. Companies today operate in increasingly complex environment, so it is not as simple as my products come from supplier A anymore. To make the products in question, supplier A buys from supplier X, Y, and Z. Choosing any suppliers carries inherent risk. As a company, you will need a strong sourcing process to mitigate that risk and the ability to monitor the performance of your key suppliers. Proactively identifying and managing those at risk is essential for ensuring continuity of supply and delivering your strategic objectives. As you are embarking on the mission, you will need to remember that not all suppliers have the same value in your supply chain, and conversely, not all of them have equal impact on your business. A process of supplier stratification is required to separate suppliers into categories that are suitable for your companies. For instance, strategic, a supplier which is closely interwoven with your business. Critical, suppliers which could cause a severe revenue disruption in your supply chain, such as a single source provider of a part required in the manufacturing process. Approved, those which have gone through a due diligence process but can be replaced without significant disruption. Used suppliers, normally known as low value, low spend, which can be easily replaced and which do not require the attention of a due diligence process. Those falling in the strategic and critical categories can be appraised weekly or monthly, while the other two categories can be tracked quarterly. One of the most commonly used methods for supplier segmentation is the strategic portfolio model, which is looking at suppliers critically and supplier risk. Peter Kraljic states that the importance of a given supplier is related to its impact on profit and supplier risk. Segmenting your suppliers can therefore be mapped out using the Kraljic model presented here. Profit impact can be dependency, business growth, potential value, or volume purchased, or impact on supply chain. Value add supplier risk can be number of suppliers, product availability of alternative products or services, and ease or cost of changing supplier. Bottleneck and strategic suppliers are higher risk, so should be evaluated and checked properly. Routine and leverage suppliers may not carry the same risk, so will generally not require the same approach. Once you have identified the types of supplier risk which will most affect those suppliers, you will need to determine how prepared your organization is. There are multiple variables which can be tracked as KPIs, enabling you to identify disruptions or opportunities in your supply base. Financial, operational, environmental, political, legal. Technology solutions today can bring together various information sources to help you monitor your suppliers, such as payment history, code filings, earnings, reports, or government control lists. The information identified needs to provide directional and strategic planning to global sourcing. Of course, segments and category teams which can filter which is more important for each supplier and how to your business as a whole. This leads us to the second key area of supplier management risk. Not surprisingly, more frequent risk assessment leads to better risk identification. But how exactly do you gain deep insight into the position of your top suppliers? Do you have the required tools, techniques, and expertise? You may have an overall understanding of the suppliers with the highest level of spend or those which have a direct influence on your customers facing operations. But are you comfortable that this analysis is focused on the real risk factors and is comprehensive, solid, and up to date? Do you know how much your suppliers rely on your business? In order to have a response plan that addresses the potential failure of a supplier, it is imperative to have rigorous measurements as part of your risk assessment process. Even though it is now accepted that companies need to manage the probability of a supply chain disruption as well as the financial impact of the disruptive events, industry figures suggested that less than 50% of organizations can properly quantify their risk. Supply failures can happen overnight, as demonstrated in the last recession. By monitoring your data rigorously, you can take proactive steps to manage a potential supply failure and minimize the risk of a disruptive to your business. Data visibility and integrity are of great significance in every aspect of supply chain management, but they are essential for managing supply risk. Using technology solutions, you can easily collect cross-functional data that might help detect an emerging supply issue earlier. For instance, are key to employees leaving one of your suppliers. Having a centralized repository of suppliers' data and required documents will massively increase your organization efficiency, while helping maintain compliance that giving you the visibility you need to take action. If your data sits in multiple systems and your company is split across different business units, you may wish to consider a product which extracts data from various sources and aggregates it to create the business intelligence you need. If you can go one step further, take into consideration a best-in-class system which allows you to append supplier information and documentation in one system. Creating an interactive supplier portal where suppliers can supply and maintain their information themselves. Having such a strong working relationship with your suppliers can only bring benefits to your supply chain and will ultimately be a vital component of the success of your business. But if you are to work as one with individual suppliers, then due diligence, trust, and transparency are critically in today's complex supply chains. In order to aid the stability of a supply, you will need to ensure the relevant financial audits as well as safety and quality checks before you enter into a contract with them. The information you collect can then be included on suppliers' performance scorecards and measured at set intervals throughout the contract. It is only once you can understand the risks of one supplier that you will be able to manage risk across the board. Collaboration is essential. Of course, all of these measures will lose their effectiveness unless your category managers have the appropriate tools and training to support your organization's risk management approach. Again, this is where technology solutions can help by providing the right framework for your category managers. Based on your company's model and the degree of complexity of your supply chain, enabling them to implement best practice is vital and should not be left to chance. If your company wants to stay ahead of potential supply failure, using complex tools can help track supplier behavior, and consolidated data will be invaluable assets when measuring, managing, and growing those supplier relations. Your supply chain category managers should be taking active measurements to minimize future problems. Of course, having process in place to help you identify and manage your risk is a good start in developing a risk management program. However, you will need to mitigate those risks in the context of your business. So you will need to ask yourself, what action do you need to take and when? Which processes and technology will help you make that happen? By when does it need to happen? You will not be able to predict risk 100% of the time, but as a company you need to re-examine your approach whenever appropriate. Even when there have not been any significant changes recently, as a matter of principle, your risk management approach you should be looked at every 3 years. More often than not, within this framework, something will occur that will drive an important change in your company's supply chain. So how can you protect your business? We agreed that supply chains are complex by nature. However, once all factors are considered, your primary objective should be to identify alternative strategies which can assist in the event of disruption. Your strategic and critical suppliers will affect your business the most if they suddenly find themselves unable to perform. Once you have considered all plausible scenarios, contingency planning can help you prepare for the unexpected and maintain your customer service level in time of uncertainty. Last but not least, balancing the strengths and weaknesses in your supply chain will make your company more flexible. When faced with a breakdown, this proactive approach is where many businesses fall short and ultimately pay the price. Let's go back to your facilities management example for a minute and look at why managing supplier is a key in the category. Facilities management is a hugely diverse and maturing area of business. The role of facilities management service will be directly impact on other key services in your organization, including human resource, finance, IT, asset management, property management, logistics, and other professional services. Managing supplier risk should be fully integrated into the contractual agreement and the day-to-day management of your facilities, whether this is an in-house service or an outsourced contract. Risk should be carefully assessed and accepted, and contingency plan put in place to deal with any incidents that may arise. For example, in the context of a company main headquarter office, without a well-defined building maintenance contract, clear SLAs and commitments that is defined, carefully performance managed and risk assessed with the contracted suppliers. Organizations are in danger of exposing their staff to health and safety risks such as lost time to injuries or reputational risk. In terms of staff confidence, it is therefore imperative to capture information at various points in the contractual relationship to help identify and manage risk. So in summary, actively identifying, managing and mitigating supply chain risk can contribute to the significant supply transformation of your business into a more resilient organization which is better equipped to anticipate difficulties, recover from disruptions, adjust to changing conditions and take advantage of growth opportunities. While this will require time and effort, managing supply risk will contribute considerably to the success of your company. Our three takeaways from today's session should be: take charge of risk. Most CEOs know that they should protect their companies from costly supply chain disruptions, but comparatively few act decisively on it. However, in today's global marketplace, a company's ability to gain visibility into all areas of their supply chain is essential. How well you monitor your supply chain determines how quickly you can identify a potential disruption and its impact. Involve your suppliers. Keep in mind that your strategic and critical suppliers will always be closely linked to your company business strategies. You should therefore invite them to cooperate with you as a part of your supply risk management process. The benefits will be mutual, since reviewing the performance of your supplier also creates opportunities for them to improve. Establish a repetitive process. Regardless of the technology solution you decide to use, you will need to establish a process that is easy and repeatable and will generate usable information. By reviewing the data available to you month by month and quarter by quarter, you will benefit from a bigger picture as to how your supplier perform and which are the behavior strengths. In addition, you will gain through insight into performance on your own organization. My name is Osama Shahid, and please feel free to contact me for any questions.